You.
Good to be back, Neil.
You were very critical, sir, of Tea Parties early in the day, that they were kind of holding this process hostage, et cetera, variations on that. And now we hear from one who has effectively said, even with the concessions the Speaker has made, he's not won over. What do you think?
Well, this is headed exactly the wrong way in the House. What we need to be doing now is coming together in a bipartisan way to get a deal for the country. And what Speaker Boehner's had to do is cater to one faction within his party and take it farther in the wrong direction. He kept calling for an adult moment, the Speaker. This is not heading in that way. You just heard that he's not able to get some of the votes of that component of his party even now. He obviously has enough votes to bring it to the floor, but it's done in a way that's calculated to make sure that the United States will default on its debt 5 months from now, because they put impossible conditions on it.
Truth be told, Democrats have the same problem. Harry Reid has pretty much the same problem in the Senate. So why do we even need the kabuki theater of going through either the vote today or whenever Harry Reid wants to vote in the Senate, if we know neither are going to go much further than their designated houses?
Well, what Harry Reid's done is put together a compromise proposal. You also have the Mitch McConnell proposal that he floated many weeks ago. At the end of the day,
Mitch McConnell proposal is the one that would effectively put the onus on the president, raise the debt ceiling on your own. It's his fingerprints and not theirs. That is palatable. But what do you think wins out?
Well, at the end of the day, some combination of all these things is the only feasible way forward. But my point in the House, it is running out, which is why it's dangerous in the House for us to take a step in the wrong direction, away from compromise. I mean, even the bill that the Speaker had on the floor last night was one that wasn't going to get a single Democratic vote. Now he's coming forward with another bill that's even farther to the right in order to get folks from his own caucus. That's what you call heading in the wrong direction.
I know you're saying the Republicans are stopping it, but do you think Nancy Pelosi advanced the cause when she was saying that, Republicans are busting this budget process, life on this very planet is at stake? That's crazy talk, isn't it?
Well, no, what's not crazy talk is that if we do not pay our bills, if America does not pay its bills for the first time in its history, it will have a terrible impact on families across the country. We know that interest rates will go up, retirement funds will go down in terms of value. That is a devastating impact. And so
But do you think that language, life on this planet, sort of thing, forwards the debate, Congressman?
Well, I think that the economic consequences are very severe.
So you're saying, sir, that if we don't meet that deadline on the 2nd, that we are effectively defaulting?
Well, look, this is not what Chris Van Hollen's saying. This is what Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, has said. This is what the rating agencies are telling us, Standard & Poor's, Moody's. These are not sort of fringe left groups that are making this point. The Chamber of Commerce.
Ben Bernanke isn't saying defaulting.
No,
so I guess what I'm asking, is it missing a deadline or is it defaulting?
The issue is not meeting our obligations. Now, we have a range of different kinds of obligations, but the reality is, if one of us said one morning, we're not going to pay our mortgage, we're only going to pay our car payment, it would have an impact on our credit worthiness. And so if we're not meeting our obligations to Social Security beneficiaries or our troops or others, even though they're not bondholders, it makes everybody say, will the United States government meet its commitments? And that will have an impact. That will have an impact on interest rates.
I'm sorry. Do you think we're going to be downgraded regardless, Congressman?
Well, I hope not. We're working very hard to try and make sure the United States maintains its credit worthiness, that we don't intentionally default for the first time in our history. That would send a terrible message to our country and to the world.
Okay, but by that I mean, I've talked to a number of credit rating agency folks over the last week, sir, who've been saying a rushed together deal isn't necessarily a good deal. They've gone out and broken apart both the Boehner plan, the Reid plan, haven't really touched the McConnell plan, but they have effectively said that the savings are not up to par with what they want to see over the next decade. And the near-term cuts are not up to par with that they like. So I got a feeling reading from them that despite all your hard work, they're going to downgrade you anyway.
Well, I certainly hope not. We have to do two things. We have to make sure that America pays its bills, and we have to come up with a deficit reduction plan to make sure we address the long-term issues in this country. Now, they have been artificially linked here,
no, I know,
as you know.
How confident are you of that?
Well, I'm confident that if, with goodwill, we can get them both done. What has happened here is by sort of manufacturing the crisis over the debt ceiling in order to try and get leverage, not just to reduce the deficit, but to reduce it a particular way. That has been the problem. We're all very open to reducing the deficit. That has been...
Well, you weren't very open to coming up with a budget. We've been waiting 800 plus days, right?
Well, that's actually, the president has laid on the table, as you know, a framework proposal based on a bipartisan group.
Well, his budget was rejected by everybody.
Yeah, but he has since put on the table a proposal for $3 in spending cuts for every $1 in revenue from closing some of these tax loopholes.
But in your gut, you think a deal ultimately will be had?
I believe that, but I'm an optimist. This is more based on hope than facts right now.
Congressman, thank you very much.